Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dog on Positive Way. I'm Maria. I'm your dog trainer. I have never told anybody how long I've been a dog trainer. I've been a dog trainer for a really long time. I started my career in 97 and yeah, I've been training dogs ever since. So, along with training dogs ever since, and even before I was a dog trainer, comes the question of what the hell should I feed my dog? And these days, it is so overwhelming. So, I'm here to help answer some questions that people have, that people ask me, clear up some, confusion, perhaps, maybe add to the confusion because I did a really, really long, deep dive, probably for about a month. And I wound up just feeding my dogs raw diet that I prepare myself. And, they passed, and then we got Tony. So I did more research, more and more research, and started off with, getting him on a raw diet after we transitioned him from what he was on. He was on a canned food because of his jaw, right? You guys remember that. If not, I'll put the video. Who is Tony Newfall? So anyway, so along with having a new dog comes training, right? So I'm like, okay, we're having a little bit of a hiccup here and there, and I'm kind of questioning myself and what the heck is going on, And we have really high value treats and everything. Well, his food is high value, whose food is raw. So you can't really get much more high value than that. And I'm like, what is going on? Why am we not getting the response in certain situations? For example, going into the crate on command, other than when I have his food bowl twice a day in my hand, all right? And even sometimes with that, he's like, eh, I don't feel like it. So in that situation, I I just walk away and put the food bowl up, and eventually, within a few minutes, I will bring it back and he'll go in the crate. But the problem is that I cannot get my dog in the crate. So I'm like, you know what? This is what we're going to do. We're going to stop the raw food for a little while, and we're going to go to a dry dog food. Oh man, talk about the rabbit hole, okay? Because the more time goes by, the more years go by. You're like, way too much. Talk about red pill, blue pill. Um, yeah, I know way too much, and a lot of us really try and do our best, both economically with feeding our pets, and also just how good is the product, and is the product made in the US, and if it is made in the US, are they getting the ingredients from the US, and what kind of ingredients are they using? And is it grain free? Yes, it's grain free, but oh, guess what, they're using other things to fill it with. So we're just paying almost double in some situations for a different type of filler. So it's like, okay, so they're placating us with no grains, but we have lentils, we have other legumes. Chickpeas is really a big one, or garbanzo beans. I think they just call them chickpeas. And it's like, okay, there are some studies out there. I didn't dive deep into that. How there is a chemical that is in our in legumes that could be linked to heart disease in our dogs and cats. And I'm like, well, that's not cool. Or there's sweet potato in there, or there's tapioca, or there's pea protein. So we are paying high quality. Like, some of these bags of dog food are like, for example, Crave. I used to feed Crave because it's a good dog food. It's grain free. It still has fillers in it. It is, I think it's like $80 a bag. Let's see how much Crave is. Let's do a little shopping, shall we? I'm going to go on to Amazon and I will share this with you guys. Let's see. Okay, so here's Crave dog food. I might just keep this open anyway. So Crave dog food, it's $83. They finally have a 30-pound bag. For the longest time, I think they only had like a 28-pound bag. Let's see. Let's see what their sizes are. No, it's 30 pounds now. But if you notice, a lot of here, 28 pounds. This is Blue Buffalo. But $80 for 30 pounds of dry dog food, and it's high protein. Let's just see. I want you guys to look at some of this stuff. I'm jumping around already. I'm already jumping. So real chicken is the number one ingredient, first ingredient. Let's see, where are the ingredients? Right over. Let's do this one. Here we go. So chicken and chicken meal. Chicken meal is crap. Chicken meal is like feathers, beaks. It's like the crap. It's blah. Split peas, lentils, pork meal, chicken fat, pea starch, dried plain beet pulp, which is sugar, right? Flax, okay. Natural flavor, what is that? Dehydrated alfalfa meal, okay. Choline, chloride, and then they get into the vitamins. And from what I'm understanding and what I am learning is that these vitamins are vitamin packs, and they're just kind of adding them in, or they're spraying it on them. Their protein is 34%, which is good. Their fat is 17%. That's good. That's good. We like to see a high protein, high fat, depending if you have a typical dog. I'm not talking about if you have any dog that has a kidney problem or liver problems or anything like that. Okay, so let's just say that straight away. But so this I would pay $80 for this food. Let me go back here. Sorry. Let's pull this up. Here we go. Okay. But look at all this stuff. Like chicken, okay. That's cool. But from there all the way to like here, well, I don't know how much flaxseed is in there. Flaxseed is good. I don't know what natural flavor is. I just feel like why are we paying all this fucking money for other types of fillers? And these in particular, like the lentils and other legumes, are possibly linked to heart disease in our animals. So like that's no, right? So look, I purchased it last time I purchased it was in 23. Now it is $2.66 a pound. Okay. So let's go. I want to share something else with you guys. I was kind of going off on the whole filler thing and feeding the dogs and so okay, so it's 260. Let me just go back. It's $2.66 a pound to feed Crave. And I'm paying for mostly filler. It's not soy, it's not wheat, it's not corn, but it's filler and it's also meal. There's two meals in here. There's chicken meal and there's pork meal. I don't want my dogs having meal. I also don't want to pay that much money, $2.66 a pound for things that are like crap. No, right? So I want you guys to start reading the back of your dog food bags and cans and cats also. I always focus on dogs, but this goes for all of our pets, right? So our cats are different. They are definitely carnivores. Don't be mistaken by that, okay? So kombucha. I love kombucha. So they need a very specific diet also. They should definitely not have all of these fillers. They all should be on a wet diet. Our dogs also benefit from a moist, and I don't mean moistened with like artificial stuff like polyglycol or propylene glycol or a cornstarch or anything like that. Okay. I'm talking about, water or broth or something added into their diet, or that you're providing vegetables, raw meats, even gently cooked food, and or even making your own broth and adding it to their diet. So we were talking about expense. We're talking about 266 a pound for mostly filler and just like beaks, and I don't even know about what the pork meal is. I don't know. Okay. Now, if it was a raw beef, yeah, right on. That's fine. Like if it was, raw pig ears, yeah, that's cool. No problem. Raw pig skin, absolutely. When I get, sometimes I do feed pork, and I get the whole ham with the fat back on it. And the dogs get that. They love it. They need the fat. They need the protein. I do chicken feet for them too, for calcium. Them. I keep saying them, but we just have the one right now. Maybe we're getting another one soon. I don't know. Shh, just a little secret. Possibly. I don't know, you guys. Anyway, okay. But seriously, or fruit, blueberries, strawberries. These types of things will add moisture. If you're feeding your dogs a dry food, that's no issues. And you guys have to feed what you can afford to feed. And that is a given, okay? Now, let me say this. I think regardless of what dry dog food you feed, I think you should add moisture to it. Like I just said, I think you should add the fruit to it. I think you should add bone broth to it. Make sure if you're using your own, or you're using stock or whatever, which is bone broth, but that's a whole different video about stock and bone broth and etc. But really, a stock is bone broth. You're cooking your slow boiling or simmering bones all day, maybe 24 hours. It just depends on what you're doing. But I do that with whole chicken or beef bones or whatever bones he doesn't get, to chew on. I just make a stock out of it and add it into my dog's diet. Now, he's on completely raw. However, remember how I said I can't get a good, sharp, reliable crate command from him? Guess what? We are going to dry dog food. No, we're not feeding Crave. No, we're not doing that, okay? I feel like one day I had an awakening and I was like, so what if it's grain free and they still have fillers in it and I'm paying all this money for what? Sweet potatoes? Who cares? Tapioca? Who cares? They shouldn't be astronomically more expensive. So I guess that's why I went back to raw. I've done raw on and off with my dogs throughout the years. I think I have also done, mostly in these last years, I have done my own preparation, but it's really great if you can afford it to get something that is already prepared. And quite honestly, with the way prices are right now and the amount of effort, physical effort, especially for me because I have MS, and I really pick and choose where I spend my time and how I plan out my day. And it's like, do I want to trash my body cutting up veg and meat and this and that and blah 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 for my dogs, right? And I use a food processor, etc. And I do as much as I can to make things easier for myself. However, I also realize that I am spending a lot of money doing all this home prepared. So here's the rub though. If I get a raw prepared diet that's already done for me that I can buy in any pet store, right, that sells raw diet, it's still part of the dog food company, right? It's still part of that industry. It's still AFCO, still, has their minimum standards. Now, I'm going to go off on a little sideshow here, and I will try and remember to come back to this. dry dog food, which I will. We have stupid fruit flies again. They're so annoying. I hate them. And me having kombucha is not helping, but whatever. Okay, so I'm going to share a different tab with you guys. This guy, he's out of New Zealand, and these are his two mastiffs, and they were feeding a prepared diet, raw diet. And I'm not going to play it or anything like that, but I will link it in the description. Um, I think it's a really important video for people to watch because here's the thing, they're like, the story basically is they're feeding their dogs a raw diet and the dogs are starting to get sick. One of their dogs, the female, is smaller than the male. The female starts presenting with really weird symptoms, like she's kind of like lackluster, her coat color starts getting lighter. And they are able to do a bunch of testing. And then the male dog presents with similar symptoms, but it's further down the line because he's larger. And they found that it was the dog food that they were feeding, even though it was a raw prepared dog food. I do not know the name of the dog food. He did not share it. So that's, his prerogative. And I think he is not sharing it. Not, I think, I know he's not sharing it because he says it. He's not sharing it because he does not want to give people the impression that it's just one company, that there are other companies out there that are doing this. It's not just one company. And they're in New Zealand and it's worldwide. And what they're doing is they will take, if the easiest example, and I believe I talked a little bit about this last video while I was chopping up the chicken wings for us and for Tony. But he was saying that they take the entire head of the animal and process it into the dog food, right? Bones or organs. And you're like, what organs? Well, there's a lot of nutrients in the brain, but they also were putting in the entire thyroid, like the whole thyroid, like the neck, whatever. And thinking about, like, from a cow's perspective, that's a damn big plan that they are adding into that raw diet. And these dogs were getting sick and it was messing with their thyroid. And this couple was able to afford to do all the blood tests, et cetera, and they finally discovered that it was with the food. And I really think you guys should check out this video. It should bring you just a little bit of, oh yeah, just remind myself that it's still a dog food company. And that even though there are dog food companies that are out there that are for me are produced in the US, do source their ingredients within the US, and manufacture within the US. There's a lot of other things to take into consideration as far as the processing. We'll just talk about the processing of it. A lot of dry dog food it's extruded into those pellets, and the extrusion process is a heated process. It just is, That's why when you see like olive oil, first cold press. Okay, it's cold press. It's not just whatever at the end. The press is heated up and you don't care what's going on. But it is something that you need to think about, that most dog food is extruded, and it's extruded under high heat, which is why they do spray-ons of the vitamin packs also, because the high heat would destroy the vitamins. Okay, so by the way, side note, we're still feeding him Mr. Tony. He's sleeping. I don't want to wake him up and say by saying his name, but he is still on the raw diet. Okay, but I'm going to transition because of the training issue, because of the crate issue. It's a big issue for me. And when I was talking in the beginning of this, I was talking about the value of food. And it's like, I always tell people, if you're having a problem with your dog, maybe you're free feeding them, they have access to food all day long, and they're like, they don't need us for anything. So, stop free feeding. We don't free feed. I'm just using that as an example with something that people come to me with. My dog's not food motivated. Well, you know what? Guess what? My dog is food motivated, but when I really need him to do something, I really need him to be food motivated. And I don't like skipping meals, because I think, especially with a puppy, if you have to for surgery or whatever, yeah, you do whatever, right? You do what you have to do for that. But I'm talking about just in general. If I don't have to skip a meal, I won't. But if I have to, I will skip one meal. If it's a real problem, if there's a real behavioral problem, I'm not going to give my dog anything for free. So here's the other thing, what I just said, giving them something for free. Tony really doesn't have to work hard for his food. Okay. I give it to him. It's in a slow feeder, kind of sort of weird shaped slow feeder. But it's just, and he's not a fast eater anyway. He's just kind of a chill dude about eating, which is nice, right? I think a lot of the slow feeders came to be because, well, yeah, behavior, but also because a lot of dogs were eating their food so fast and they were getting torsion where the stomach flips, and that's highly dangerous, and could kill your dog if you don't get them to the vet in time to get surgery, and to reverse it if possible. But I digress. But so I'm like, okay, well, where do I go from raw diet? I'm not going to be like, honestly, I didn't want to stuff Kongs with the raw food. I really don't want to do that. I don't feel like doing that. It's gross. Raw diet, cutting up all that meat and doing everything that I do for him it's a lot of work, and it's a sanitation thing. And hello, people who think, oh, your dog's going to get salmonella. The chances of them getting salmonella, or for my dogs, is very slim. The chances of me getting salmonella are very slim, like zero. Okay. And I say that because, first of all, I'm safe. I am certified in food safety from the state of Florida. And I think my license just ran out. I'm not going to renew it, but I was. And so I know how to handle food. And even before that, I knew how to handle food safely and not cross-contaminate. You have to be clean. You have to be clean when you're preparing your food, and you have to be clean when you're preparing your dog's food, okay? Wash your hands. If you wear gloves, don't get a false sense that, oh, you're clean. You're not clean. Don't go washing your gloves, okay? Just get a new pair of gloves, or, don't use gloves at all and wash your hands very frequently. Either way, you have to wash your hands. You have to clean everything. You can't mix items together, cooked and raw, even raw and raw. If it's two different items, you don't mix, I don't know, raw wings from one package, even to raw wings in another package. You just don't do that, it's and meat to meat also. It's just, you have to really watch what you're doing when you're preparing raw diet. But anyway, that's why I was, really doing my own thing with him and our dogs for a long time, because of the issues of not really knowing what the hell is going on. And AFCO is like, here's the minimum standard. If you meet it, that's great. We have a very low bar. And they do. Their bar is really low. So if you look behind me, you will see all the different treats that we have, okay? I've got Sundays. That's the dry food that he's going to go on. We're going to do a little box opening in a second. I have sweet potato chews for him. I have freeze-dried liver for him. I have, there's a not a bark box. I think it's a bully box for aggressive chewers. We're going to open that too. We got a lot of stuff going on. And let's see, what else do we have up there? We have another box of Sundays, but I just want to just kind of go over what's in that, and what brought me to be like, all right, how did she come up with choosing this one? Okay. First and foremost, I got a 50% a coupon for it. Watching Rocky Kanaka, I think that's how you say his last name. And he partners with Sundays, and they have a 50% off deal. And so that brought the price right down. And again, that goes back to what I was figuring out what I was paying was way more than that, 266 a pound for that crave, and paying, you know, a lot of money for what I'm doing and what I'm making him. But I'm like, but I know what's going in. I know what it is because I'm making it. It's literally human grade food. I can cook all this stuff and we can eat it ourselves. I make him a veggie mash. I do eggs. I do yogurt. I do veg and bones and meat and fat and, you name it, this dog gets it. And I even do a multivitamin, which is right behind me. Dog is Human. I think you could see it over my shoulder over there. I don't give it to him every day because I don't want to, give him too much of something. I don't want to over supplement him. It's not necessary. And also I know you guys have heard this, but complete and balanced, nothing is 100% complete and balanced. Nutrition occurs over a period of time. You're not going to eat every single, the food that you're eating isn't going to contain every single vitamin, especially with our animals. When it's dry dog food and it's not air dried or freeze dried dog food, it definitely changes the nutritional value of your food, right? The dog food. So you need to be aware of everything. There's so much to be aware of. And I know it's a lot. And this is probably going to be broken up into even this episode. I'm trying to keep it short, and I'm looking at the recording. It's already 28 and a half minutes long and counting, right?